Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
Hello and welcome to this episode of our show. This is your host, Keith Doherty. Today our special guest is top real estate agent Alan Wang of Wang Realty Group at Keller Williams Realty based out of Campbell, California. Alan has been a realtor in the San Francisco Bay Area since 2003 and is currently with Keller Williams Realty. He ranks in the top 1% of all Keller Williams agents in Northern California and Hawaii and is a member of the Agent Leadership Council and a trainer and mentor. He has been in the technology industry for over 14 years with roles in engineering, project, program, product management, and business development. All right, with all that said, Alan, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you, Keith. I'm glad to be here.
And Alan, if we could start for our listeners, what led you into real estate? Was it something that you always knew you wanted to do, or did you maybe stumble into it?
You know, I stumbled into it, Keith. I was actually in the technology industry, and I had a good career going there. I did notice some layoffs coming in around the 2000 time frame, so I decided to have a parallel track, have a backup plan. Never in my imagination would I thought that it would blossom into a thriving business, and so I decided to quit my job in tech and shift it over.
Excellent. And do you think you could talk a little bit about what personal attributes, traits, or qualities you think have most contributed to the success that you've had in real estate?
Yeah, it's one of these industries where it's different in corporate America, and in corporate America it's often who you know, not what you know. In real estate, it's the opposite. It's really about what you know. I mean, definitely there's an aspect of relationships, but really one thing would be hard work. I mean, hard work, some folks use the word hustle, just getting things done and just working harder than the agent next to you. I get up at 6:30 a.m. and I sleep at 1 a.m. and I'm just catching up with clients or meeting with clients or trying to manage things, and for every ounce of hard work I put in, the results show, and that's what I love about this business. I mean, if it's one thing, I would say hard work.
And do you think you'd give our listeners an example of when these traits have played a role in your path toward success?
Day in and day out, I mean, people kind of look at our team and they go, wow, they're doing so well. I mean, they don't really realize. Today I was at a sign-off right before this meeting, and the title agent told me, she goes, I really appreciate you being here. Most agents don't bother showing up, and that's one of those things that I really pride myself on. It's not just hard work, but it's just doing the right thing, giving your customers a great experience, being there for them when they expect you to be there. A sign-off, yes, you're correct. The agent's not required to be there, for example, but imagine if you were a buyer or seller sitting there staring at a stranger across from you, not knowing what you're signing, and it's, you know, you're signing your life away, right? Whether you're buying or selling. And that's an example of where I think just, you know, the hard work, just diligence, and just doing the right thing is really what I pride myself on.
And Alan, I think that whenever somebody builds a successful career or business, that sometimes the road to get there is filled with, you know, bumps along the way. Can you talk a little bit about some of the adversities and trials you've had to overcome in order to achieve your goals?
Absolutely. Break it down in two ways. One thing I've had to deal with was tough markets, and the second was tough clients. We'll start with tough markets. In the 13 years I've been doing this, there have been a couple of times when the market sort of took a nosedive. The first time would be after the year 2000, when the dot-com bust happened, and the second time would be around the 2005 time frame when the subprime meltdown happened. And those are really tough times. And, I mean, talking about tough markets, I had coworkers who were working the mall, trying to make ends meet. You know, the rest of the years have been good, but there are a couple of bad ones. And I think in those tough markets, we have a phrase, you work the market that you're in. I heard a lot of people complain about, oh, the market's terrible, there's nothing to sell. I mean, if you're in a bad market, then you just kind of get educated in distress sales, for example. You're just going to have to go and find out and figure out how to work those. They're not easy, but you're just going to have to learn. And so I think really learning to adapt to a tough market, and I think the agents that survive are the ones that are just going to work what's in front of them. So that's the first one, which is tough markets. The second one I would say is tough clients. And I've had some really tough clients at times to manage. And it's one of these things where I would say as you're early in your career, you don't always have a choice of who you can work with, and so then you work with everybody. But obviously, as the business starts thriving, I mean, you can actually have a choice. And tough clients, I mean, those that don't value you as an agent. They don't value what you bring to the table. They're continually negotiating and giving you a hard time. And those clients, for me, I mean, if I do have to work with them, I just have to just put in my mind that I have to do what's best for them. But if I don't have to work with them, I'll often choose not to because it's just not a cultural fit. And so those are the ways that I've dealt with and overcome these obstacles.
So I guess, Alan, as these things come up, as the clients, you had the two different market downturns you talked about. So what kept you going despite these obstacles? Why didn't you give up? What was your driving force?
I mean, the primary one, survival would be a good one. I mean, you got to work to survive, right? And that's definitely a very strong motivator. But at the same time, I mean, it's just being able to adapt. I mean, even now, currently, the market's great. Everything's just looking upwards. But I'm already gearing up for the next shift in the marketplace. It's probably 2 to 3 years away, but I'm preparing myself for it. And the reason I do that is because when things get tough, you could just quit, or you can just figure out and challenge yourself on how you weather the storm. And I like the challenge. Obviously, survival is one thing. You got to feed your family, but beyond that, I mean, I just don't want to quit. Never want to quit. I mean, just always have to figure out a way. And therein lies the challenge. And challenge really makes life more interesting rather than just throwing in the towel and giving up.
And Alan, looking forward, what's your vision for your business and your career over the next 5 years?
Yes, good question, Keith. It's interesting. When I started this business, and for a very long time, I mean, over a decade, I was doing it by myself. I literally did everything by myself. These last couple of years, I've been really just putting the business mindset on and, putting that business hat on and saying, all right, this is not scalable. I mean, I'm not going to be able to do everything forever. And so my vision for myself is really I am a true kind of CEO of my company. I'm the person on the top, and yes, I'll be. I may work with certain clients, et cetera, but I mean, really, I want to have a team, a strong team that I can, the buyers are assigned or the listings are assigned, an operational team supporting them. And for me, I want to focus on the strategy of the company, the direction that we're going, be a thought leader in the industry, and really push the envelope that way, and just really manage the team and lead the team, inspire the team, motivate the team, but not necessarily be in the day-to-day. Because one of the things I've seen with agents that have been doing real estate too long is that it's a grueling business. And I see customer service go down. I see agents that don't want to answer the phone anymore. They don't want to talk to any more agents. They don't want to do any more of that anymore. And it's understandable because you burn out. And I don't even want to be anywhere close to that. I definitely want to have a strong team in place so that we continue to have great experiences for our customers.
And I guess kind of on top of that, what do you feel is the best way you market yourself as a real estate professional so that you can have continual growth?
Absolutely. I'm a big believer in this next wave. I think in the past, realtors have done a lot of different lead generation methodologies. I mean, you can put cold calling, you can put door knocking. Of course, there's always the relationships and referral business. From my perspective, I think this new generation of millennials are looking for something else. I mean, they don't answer their phone, so you can't cold call them. You can try to text them, but I mean, there's so much noise that you have to bring something of value before they'll listen to you. Basically, the question is, why should anybody listen to you as an agent? And basically, what I'm calling it is every agent should be a subject matter expert. And by what I mean is that people identify you as somebody who is an expert in real estate, and they want to read your material. They want to call you. They want to watch your videos and hear your message and your opinion on the subject. And I think that's really the future. And that's the way I go about it. I do heavy blogging on LinkedIn, which is a professional network, the Facebook, but professional. And that's where everyone's professional connections are. And so I do try to really put out good, solid real estate content so that people will be able to consume that. And it's not really about marketing. It's about how can I give you something of value. And then in turn, of course, you're going to visualize and see me as an expert. I mean, that's a byproduct of it. But really, I'm just going to be a giving person and just give as much as I know and spread that knowledge out. And also, as a side effect, yes, it is marketing. But I really want it to be less about marketing, but that I'm just a giving person and providing an expert opinion on something, and just people automatically go, hey, if I ever need anything, I'm going to call Alan and his team. And that's really kind of the next wave I'm trying to push, is this content marketing, being a subject matter expert in space.
And Alan, I think sometimes when the general public looks at real estate agents, they don't fully understand the value that they provide from both a buyer and a seller standpoint. What do you think the biggest misconception or myth people have about working with a real estate agent?
Absolutely. I think a lot of folks sort of view real estate agents as folks that are just kind of that cliche of the sleazy car salesman, that used car salesman, right? Again, no offense to anyone who's a car salesman, but there's always that image, when you go into a dealership, that, oh, I don't want to talk to that person. Oh, gosh, I don't say anything to them. Don't give anything away. It's confrontation. They're not working for us. And I think a lot of people, you can see that same attitude when they walk into open houses, and they don't really want to talk to you. They don't want to give you any information because of that perception that we're this big salesperson. And it doesn't help that our license says real estate salesperson either. However, I really think that's a myth. I think if you look at the core of the business, it's usually relationship driven. What I mean by that is your realtor is most likely somebody that you know and you trust. And so that trust is key. Without that, then everything breaks down. And so and once that trust is set, the agent is there not to sell you something. I mean, a house in the Bay Area, the average price of a house here is $1 million. So, I mean, no matter how good a salesperson I am, I'm not going to be able to sell you a house that you don't like, that you're not going to love, you and your wife, or, you and your spouse, or your significant other. I'm not, no matter how good a salesman I am, I may be able to pressure you into it at the moment, but you're going to go home and go, this house is not for me. You're going to say no. And so really, I think what buyers and sellers both need to understand is that we're partners in this business. We're not trying to sell you anything. That's not our job. We have a fiduciary duty to do what's best for you, act in your best interest as a buyer or seller. And based on that, we need to operate in that fashion. And we're not going to sell you anything that you're not going to buy. I know a lot of agents come to a listing appointment and they're ready to make somebody sign on the dotted line. Well, yeah, I mean, that's fine. That's an approach. But, if I suddenly pressure you to sign the moment and you change your mind later, I mean, really we want people to work with us for the long term, right? It has to be a mutual decision between the both of us. So high pressure tactics and all that, I'm not a fan of them. I think you're either going to work with my team or not. And it's all about the relationship. And I think for me, that's why I never envisioned myself as a salesperson. Sure, I have a component of sales. I do marketing on your home for you and put out great brochures and websites and, drone tours and all that good stuff. But that doesn't necessarily mean I need to be a high-pressure, sleazy salesperson. I don't think that's a myth that I think needs to go away.
And Alan, let's say you get a call from a family member or a friend, and they're in another state, and they want to sell their home. Now, obviously, with your experience and being part of Keller Williams, you could probably easily look up an agent and do a referral. But from a general advice standpoint, what advice would you give them about selecting an agent that could best serve their needs?
So the way I view real estate agents is that each of us are our own startup company, really. We're our own little businesses. And I would tell my family member, ask them, how do you differentiate yourself from other agents? That's one question I would have them ask. And sit back and wait and listen. I mean, really what we're trying to hear is, what is this agent's elevator pitch? Right? What in 2 or 3 sentences, what makes them different? And every agent should have one of these, because every day when you're walking around, you're going to meet somebody who's going to ask you, oh, what do you do for a living? And then they're going to ask you, realtor. Okay, well, what makes you different? And I think that's probably a really good screening question. Just sit back and listen. I mean, if they don't have an answer to what makes them different, then you should probably move on. And I think it's easy to get a license. The barriers to entry are extremely low. And, if the first thing out of their mouth is, well, let me give you, a huge rebate or something, then they're ready to devalue themselves, right? I mean, they have nothing else to say but to give you a discount right away, as an example. So, I mean, some good answers from agents would be, I sell, I guess you could tout your stats. I mean, that's one way. The second way would be, if you're selling a home, these are the 10 things I do to market your house that most agents don't bother with. Do you boost Facebook ads? Do you do drone videos? Do you do 3D tours? Do you have high quality stock paper for your flyers? I mean, what makes you different? I mean, everyone else can put the house in MLS. That's not a differentiating. Everyone else says, yeah, everything's online. Well, that's not difficult anymore, right? I'm there for my clients. I'm a person of high integrity. That's not everybody, right? So I think really figure out what differentiates this agent. And of course, it has to mesh with you as a buyer or seller. It has to be a cultural fit, right? You may not value certain things in certain agents, so you'll have to pick one that's a good cultural fit for you.
And Alan, obviously based out of Campbell, Silicon Valley, California area, and if somebody's looking for an agent or real estate services in that general area, what's the best way they can find out more information about you and how you can help them?
Absolutely. Thanks, Keith. Our website would be the best, www.alanwangrealty.com. And, of course, you can reach me direct if you like, 408-313-4352. But, yes, our website's the best place for much information about our upcoming listings, our blogs, our videos, everything, a lot of resources to help you there.
Excellent. Well, Alan, obviously we want to thank you for taking time out of your schedule to come here today and share all your professional real estate experience with our listeners. And if you're listening and you want to learn more about Alan, you can go to his website, like you said, you can give him a call. Also below this interview, we'll have a link to his site and any other contact information we have so you can see how Alan can help you with your real estate needs. So with that said, everybody, until our next show, have a great day and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.